So we'll get started. And welcome to everybody. And again, happy St. Patrick's Day. And for those that are celebrating their heritage, let's start off with, and just a reminder, some folks before we got started let me know that they had guests, but drop in the chat if you didn't have a chance to let me know, or if we have visiting Rotarians, so we can make sure and recognize you. Jessica, shall we start with the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I hope everybody sees Russ is under the amphitheater right now. So, I hope folks got down there this weekend or last Friday for the open house. It is just a stunning piece of architecture. So, Shani, are you here? I didn't spot you yet, but
I'm
Shani,
here.
okay, I'm going to hand it off to you for our invocation and words of inspiration.
All right. So in honor of St. Patrick's Day today, we have an Irish blessing for everyone. And hopefully you will all recognize or be familiar with it. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. The rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand.
Thank you, Shani. All righty, let's go to guests. Laura, may I start with you for your students?
Absolutely. President Sue and fellow Rotarians, I am excited to introduce South Salem's Student of the Month for the category of Music and Performing Arts. Tomas Cayetano Gonzalez is in our orchestra program, and he came to us super excited to be a music teacher. So we're hoping that happens with us in a few years. But despite not having private lessons in his background, his work ethic launched him into being in our top orchestra, which is a state championship orchestra, and being selected in all city all 3 years thus far. He's also on our football team. He's on our track and field team, and he's volunteered to help serve as a role model for our English language learner classes. He's a candidate for our International Baccalaureate Diploma with a weighted GPA of 4.08, and he will be the first in his family to go to college. So we are incredibly proud that he's representing us today. So please welcome Tomas.
Yeah, welcome, Tomas. So Tomas, we're going to do a little bit more business, and then about 20 after, I'll call on you to talk with the clubs. That sound good? Okay, great. I'm so glad that we are also glad that you're with us today. Mark, you mentioned that you had a guest.
I do. President Sue, fellow Rotarians, thank you so much. Mark Hunter, Union Gospel Mission. My guest today is Elena Harvey. Elena is our public relations and marketing lead here at Union Gospel Mission and has been proposed for membership for our club. So please join me in welcoming Elena to the meeting.
Welcome, Elena. Good to see you. And then Allison, is Vincenzo with us?
Thank you, President Sue. I believe so. Yes, Vincenzo Maduri, we are welcoming as a guest today, and are hoping that he has also been proposed for membership. So that process is in process. So welcome, Vincenzo. He's been sitting on the Liberty House Board of Directors now for several years and is just an amazing partner and collaborator.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks for joining us again, Vincenzo. It's good to see you as always.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And then Linda Bednars, you thought you might have a guest.
I don't see him. Oh, wait, here he is. He is here. Ray White is, I think he just tuned in. And he is, Ray White is an IT supervisor at Salem Health. And he's going to be presenting to us in April as well, and wanted to tune into today's presentation. So welcome, Ray. He's also on the board with Salem Leadership Foundation
very
with
good.
me.
Very good. Welcome, Ray. Thanks for joining us today. That's great. Any other guests? Let me double check the chat. Okay, doesn't look like we have any other guests. So, and I didn't see any call for an club announcement. So Allison, bell ringers.
All right. Well, great to see you, everybody, again. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I actually have 9 bell ringers today, so 7 of them are from me. So we'll do the first one first. So Brenna Baucom, first of all, Brenna is ringing the bell for Ron Kellerman. 8 years ago, he opened the door for Brenna to enter the world of financial planning. That led her to join associations, which led to planning committees, which led to meeting some of the biggest names in the industry who were exploring what it meant to be a financial advisor in an ever-changing world. That led her to seek out a like-minded community committed to building and improving this young profession. And that led her to what will be the next step in her career. Brenna is joining Money Quotient as their Director of Education and Communication. A 20-year-old organization, Money Quotient combines neuroscience and behavioral finance. They provide research-based training and tools to financial advisors looking to elevate their practice and the profession. Brenna will miss working with her client families and colleagues, but won't be going far. While the company is international, the position is remote. She and her family will continue to call Salem home. We're glad about that, Brenna. Thank you, Ron, for the role you played in planting the seed, fostering the various twists and turns it took as it grew, and supporting Brenna in this new adventure. President Sue, please ring the bell.
Congratulations, Brenna.
Yeah. And then our own Shane Griggs has a bell ringer from the floor. Shane, and then
Yes.
I'll do mine after that.
Okay,
And I'm not muted. This is a new computer for me. I don't think I'm muted. You
we
can
can
hear
hear you. We can
Okay,
hear you.
perfect. So I'm ringing the bell for my son-in-law, Chad Elliott, who has taken a position with CD Redding as their senior project manager, and he's so excited. We're thrilled. We will always love the Duncan family. They were very good to Chad, but Chad is looking forward to this next chapter in his life. So I'm ringing the bell, and I've paid my money already.
Congratulations to Chad. Oh, and you're muted. There we go.
Sorry. Okay, I have not paid yet, but I will. Thank you, Shane. That's exciting. All right. So the first one I want to do, or actually this is number 3, is I just want to ring a bell in honor of all Rotarians, and especially all of you, the members of our Rotary Club of Salem. Your creativity, ingenuity, and hard work, both publicly and behind the scenes, is absolutely inspiring. Congratulations on the amazing success and progress of the new Jerry Frank Amphitheater. I'm sorry I missed the huddle on Friday, but I was down in the park yesterday, and it really is incredible. So President Sue, on behalf of me and everybody here at Liberty House, please ring the bell for all of you. All right, and then my next one is I'd like to ring the bell for the new I Respect and Protect campaign community project, promoting safe digital and media habits for children, youth, and families. Thank you to all of you Rotarians who have played a role in the last 3 years in our focus groups and planning to bring this to life. And President Sue has been right there in the middle of this with us. If you have not checked out the website, it's irespectandprotect.com. And it has all kinds of resources for families. And we launched this just knowing that children are really suffering with their mental health this year. Some stats, 20 to 30% of children are experiencing either major depression or suicidal ideation. So we really want to focus on every single thing we can do to support youth in our community. And this website will help. So please check it out. Thank you for that. President Sue, please ring the bell for I Respect and Protect.
Sorry to ring over the program name. It really is an exceptional program. Everybody should check out the website and learn more about it. It's very important.
Thank you for that. And then my next one is in honor of Liberty House. And this year, instead of doing an auction, which we really miss, we are doing a mega raffle. And there are 218 prizes, and we are only selling 2,000 tickets, which basically means that there is a better than 1 in 10 chance of you winning a prize if you buy a ticket. And the easiest way to buy tickets is just go to the Liberty House website, libertyhousecenter.org. Scroll down a little bit, and on the left-hand side, you'll see all the information, a description, a gallery of prizes, and there will be a live stream event drawing on May 6th. So please ring the bell for Liberty House and its fundraising. I will also tell you that we have seen in our clinic more children in 2020 than we saw the year before. So even though with schools and activities, even like Boys and Girls Club and stuff shut down, the risk and harm out there is really high. And so I'm really grateful that we have an organization that can bring some good things to the lives of children and families. So President Sue, please ring the bell.
Go.
All right, and then my last are in honor of St. Patrick's Day. So there you go. And I'm just giving a separate contribution. So this will be like a 7-time bell ringer all told. So one for each of these. One of my favorites is the great Irish blessing, may you be in heaven half an hour before the devil knows you're dead. So there.
Do you want me to do them individually, or do you
Yes,
want me
please.
Okay.
Yes.
There's what?
The next one, which I actually did in calligraphy one year for my father, another Irish blessing. May those who love us, love us. May those who don't love us, may God turn their hearts. And if he doesn't turn their hearts, may he turn their ankles so we will know them by their limping. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Next to the last is my all-time favorite joke. Speaking as a lawyer with an Irish name and coming from a long line of Irish lawyers, did you know that after St. Patrick drove all the snakes out of Ireland, they all ended up practicing law in America? And the last one was sent to me by my sister this morning, which is a Celtic history of the name Kelly, which apparently translated means either mighty brain or troublesome. So yeah, troublesome is, I will wear that one proudly. So anyway, happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. President Sue, please ring bell.
Thank you so much, Allison. That was wonderful. All right, Tomas, are you ready for us? We will give you the floor.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, so to be completely honest, being here today is somewhat like a different experience for me than I've had before. I don't usually do things like expecting recognition, so receiving this like honor is both a blessing and a surprise. And after going to South for 4 years, it's really hard to say that I'm not happy with the experiences I've had in my time at South. So the music program truly opened my eyes to a new world of possibilities. And having not started in the top orchestra in my freshman year, I've been able to take part in one first place all-state orchestra. I've participated for 3 years in an all-city orchestra in our district, and I've even visited a place outside of our borders with music. I've truly learned a new level of commitment and appreciation for music, as I've endured some of my hardest times during high school with my violin to cope. Music really has become its own language to me, and with the help of my teacher, Mr. Burdakin, I was able to understand music and its role in my life. I not only do music, I've also been doing football for 4 years, track and field for 3 so far. And with sports, music, and school to top it off, I can say I truly learned how to stay committed. And when it did become hard at times, I can't forget how much my own teachers and the community itself helped me maintain like a level head while giving me the sources and support to become my own person, inspiring me to use that. So one of my most notable instances was thanks to Miss Tiffin herself, who orchestrated behind the scenes a way for me to help a ELD class at our school during my lunch period. And and given that chance, I was able to use something inside me that that was given to me at birth, which is my Spanish identity. And that is one of the main things I have South to thank for. While it didn't give me my Spanish identity, it did help me understand, mature, and embrace it by promoting me to use it in class and creating a culture, like appreciative culture around different ethnic races and cultures. And as for my plans for the future, I plan to attend the University of Oregon to study music education, because I feel like my way of creating a better world is through the setting of a classroom. I strive to positively influence students of the future as much as my teachers did for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Tomas. You are very impressive, and we look forward to learning more about you and your travels and your successes. And when Ms. Tiffin says that she wants you back at South, I know personally that she will work very, very hard to make sure that she keeps you in the Saxon family. So congratulations, and really, we really appreciate you joining us. In your honor, you'll be receiving in the mail shortly a certificate recognizing you as Student of the Month for music, as well as a challenge coin. So thank you again for joining us. I hope you can stay on the call if you don't have class. But congratulations, and well done. It's exciting to see what your future holds.
Yes, thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah, okay, take care.
President Sue, may I interrupt real quickly?
Sure.
I'm so sorry, and congratulations, Tomas. That was really amazing. I completely blew it. I forgot there was one more bell ringer that I just put in the chat from Vincenzo Majuri, our guest, regarding Enlightened Theatrics, and they are now starting rehearsals for Snow White. So all that information is in the chat, and hopefully also on the website. So forgive me.
Thanks, Allison. Thanks, Vincenzo. Wonderful programs. Okay, before we move on to our program for the day, Elise Bauman. Elise has a hunger awareness moment that she wants to share with us.
Thanks, Sue. Hunger awareness moment. I like how you put that. I'll take a moment. And I'm going to speak on behalf or from the view of Salem Harvest and what we do. Salem Harvest, we go out and we harvest food in farms and backyards here in the Marion and Polk County areas, and we get that food into the hands of hungry families across both counties through Marion and Polk Food Share and their 120 food pantries, or other situations, and low-income families end up with this food and people who need it. The point I want to bring out today, though, is the volunteers who come out to harvest. We target and encourage low-income families and people who need the food themselves to come out and do that harvesting, and to take that food home and feed their families that good, nutritious, healthy food that they need. And it goes beyond that. It's so amazing to see such a diverse community gather together around food, and then take that relationship that they build in the fields beyond out into their lives. And during that ice storm we recently had, I got to see that firsthand as the food that families rescued to put in their freezers for later to get them through the winter. As families reached out to other families and other people that they knew through Salem Harvest to find out where the freezers were working so they could move freezer to freezer till they got electricity back. And it was just so amazing to see that relationship bud and build to the point where they're helping each other. And it was just so cool and heartwarming that it was, I just have to share that. So anyway, there was my hunger moment for today.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for the time.
Thank you, Elise. Your organization does such important work. So we really appreciate what you're doing for our families and our communities. All right, Renee, I want to hand it off to you to introduce our speaker today.
Thank you very much, President Sue. And I want to apologize for the way too much light here today. We are having our windows washed and our blinds cleaned, and there's not a place in the house that doesn't have blinding lights. So sorry about that. But I want to introduce our program today. As we know, Rotary is a global network. We welcome and unite people of goodwill and desire to make a difference in our communities. We've always been non-religious and non-political, But we have to ask ourselves sometimes, are we doing all we can to be sure that our clubs reflect and welcome and serve the diverse communities that we live in? Are we making Rotary available and easy for like-minded people to participate in service above self? Sydney Schilling comes to share Rotary's initiatives to help us explore our club's policies and procedures to improve how we reach out to potential members, as well as create equitable opportunities for existing members viewed through the lens of the four-way test and our core values. Sydney is co-president of the Portland Rotaract Club. She's our district Rotaract representative, and she's on the board of Big West Rotaract, representing 32 districts along the Western United States. Sydney was first exposed to the Rotary world through her dad's involvement in the Rotary Club of Casper, Wyoming. She's been captivated by the relationship building, commitment to service, and the vast and meaningful connections within the Rotary world. She's pursued matters of social justice and inclusion, equity and diversity within Rotary, working to help to start the DEI initiatives, facilitating workshops, and she's been featured as a panelist on Rotary International's Accountability and Inclusion webinar series. Sydney graduated from Iliff School of Theology with a master's degree in social change, where she focused on narrative justice, storytelling, and organizational leadership and management, while also pursuing a work-study program in Tanzania, East Africa. Within a professional setting, Sydney is a project lead and research assistant for Bowtie Leadership and Development, a global leadership management firm owned by Rotarian Dr. Todd Bowtie Jenkins. And she currently serves on the City of Portland's Community Equity and Inclusion Committee. Outside of work and volunteer service, Sydney enjoys travel, exploring cities, cultures, and traditions, traveling, connecting with her community, writing, spending time with family, supporting the Portland Timbers, and playing piano. We are doubly blessed today in that Dr. Todd Bowtie Jenkins has been able to join us. We weren't sure he was going to be able to do that. He currently serves as the Senior Diversity, Inclusion, and Innovation Leader in corporate America at a Fortune 400 company as their global inclusion trainer, strategist, and speaker with Bowtie Leadership Incorporated. He's worked with companies and nonprofits, large and small, the likes of Walmart, Google, Facebook, among many others. He graduated with honors from the University of South Carolina with 2 Bachelor of Science degrees in psychology and sociology. He obtained his Master's of Science degree from Illinois State University and his doctorate from the University of Arkansas. Excuse me. Currently, he is completing postdoctorate studies as a Harvard Fellow. Dr. Jenkins is a proud Rotarian and Paul Harris Fellow from the Rotary Club of Fayetteville, Arkansas. He has served in Rotaract, Interact, RILA on his club board, and he is currently one of the youngest district youth exchange chairs in Rotary International. He has spoken at many Rotary district, zone, and international conventions, serves on multiple boards, and has recently been appointed to serve on the first Rotary International DEI task force to align Rotary's assessment, strategy, goals, and initiatives. Dr. Jenkins is a proud husband, a brand new father, author, servant leader, and a conversationalist who believes in his philosophy, bow tie it all together, serve, and simply be a gift to the world. Please welcome Sydney and Dr. Bowtie Todd.
Well, hello, everyone. So good to be here with the Rotary Club of Salem. Thank you so much for having us today. I'm so excited to be here and talk to you all about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Rotary style. It is such an honor to be here and share this journey with you all. My name is Sydney, as Renee mentioned. Thank you so much for that amazing introduction, Renee. You make me feel amazing. So thanks for sharing with us. But I love Rotary. I am a proud Rotaractor. I love the relationships that I've been able to create in the Rotary world and see all of the connections and the service and the relationship building that we do. And I am passionate about diversity, equity, and inclusion as well. I come to this space as a student and student teacher, and I am excited to learn and grow with you today and throughout this journey. And I'd like to welcome my friend and colleague, Dr. Bowtie Todd Jenkins. Todd, welcome.
Hey, thank you so much. And hello, friends. It's so great to see everyone. And I'm so happy to be a part of today's conversation among friends. So let's get started.
Yeah, let's do it. So a few meeting objectives today. Thumbs up if you can see my screen. Can you see the objectives? Okay, great. Just making sure. So our meeting objectives today, we're going to work through a number of objectives. We're going to work through defining diversity, equity, and inclusion. What does this mean? What are the foundational concepts? We're going to look at understanding the why. Why is this work important, and why is it important within the Rotary world? We're going to look at our role that we each play in creating inclusive ecosystems. We're going to look at calling to action by first calling to question. And then finally, we're going to look at current DEI efforts within our district and beyond, as well as I'm going to share some resources with you all as well.
Okay, Sydney,
And hey,
this is you. We can see your and Dr. Jenkins' photo.
There
Oh,
we
there we
go.
go. There's the objectives.
Okay.
We caught up with you. Thank you.
Okay, great. Can you still see?
We see objectives.
Yeah. Okay, great. Going forward, you can see the next slide.
Transition to the next slide, and we'll see if there we go.
There we go. There we go.
Okay. Okay, great. Thanks. Thanks for letting me know. So yeah, I'll go back to objectives actually, so you guys can just take a quick look. So here we go, meeting objectives, and then next slide. Did you know? Here we are. So did you know, raise of hands on the call, who all knows that diversity is a top priority for Rotary? Just curious. Okay. Yep, we've got a few. Good, good, good. Well, just in case you didn't know, it is a top priority for Rotary. And this really makes sense, right? As a global organization that serves communities and cultures, people all over the world, it's kind of a given, right? Diversity, equity, and inclusion are integral to the work that we do as this organization. So I want to highlight Rotary's diversity statement, which is found on their website. But I want to read the top and bottom right before and after the full statement, which I find just so important. I love what they have to say. A top priority for Rotary is growing and diversifying our membership to make sure we reflect the communities we serve and are inclusive of all cultures, experiences, and identities. We're creating an organization that is open and inclusive, fair to all, builds goodwill, and benefits our communities. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, wait, where have I heard that terminology before? It's a four-way test, right? It blends into the four-way test, but I want to encourage us to go deeper. How does diversity, equity, and inclusion play into the four-way test? How do they go into hand to hand? And I want to encourage us to go further, to not look only at how things can be fair to all, but equitable to all. And so, as we're digging deeper, let's start with some of the foundational concepts of diversity, equity, and inclusion and what these mean. So I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Jenkins to walk us through these concepts.
Yes, thank you so much, Sydney. And as we transition to the next slide, one of the things that we commonly find in this space is that we often utilize these words: diversity and inclusion, diversity, equity, inclusion, inclusion and belonging. So many different words. And so many times we come into these conversations without taking the moment to pause to say, what do these words mean to us? And what are we all like when we actually say this word? Do we all see it the same way? And I've seen in our research and our practice that is not the case. And so what I always encourage everyone on their journey is whoever, please don't make the assumption that everyone shows up to these words the same way. And so I want to share with you all our perspective of kind of how we define these words, so we can just kind of have some common language throughout the rest of today's discussion. So when it comes to diversity, what is diversity? Diversity to me is twofold. Diversity is visible and invisible differences that make someone complete. So right now on camera, you see a good looking brown guy with a bow tie on. That is my visible difference. But invisible, you may not know that I'm one of 13 kids. I can hablar español and falo Portuguese. I'm afraid of heights, but I love to travel on planes. So I want people to understand that, yes, diversity is the things you see on the outside, but it's also those things you cannot see, like your ideas, your experiences, your faith, your sexual orientation, etc. Okay, makes sense? All right, let's go to inclusion, because that's another word that we're all using, and it's a really, really beautiful word, and it's very simple. Inclusion is an action. It's an action. Inclusion is to create a space, create an environment where all these visible and invisible differences can be appreciated, can be championed, can be respected, seen, and heard. And you may be wondering, Dr. Jenkins, why did you put heard in your definition? Well, the reason why I put it in my definition, because how many of y'all know you can be doing a lot of talking, but that does not mean anyone is listening. So it's very, very important that if we want to strive for inclusive climate and culture, you want to make sure individuals are seen and heard. Okay, now let's go to equity. Okay, and there's a difference between equity and equality, because so many times I work with corporate leaders and they say, Dr. Jenkins, we're going to treat everyone equal. And I say, okay, that's fair to all concerned, but I want you to strive for equitable treatment. And they kind of scratch their heads a little bit about what does that mean? Because most of the leaders we coach, they get business equity, but we're talking about social and human equity here. And if you look at the difference, and how the best way I like to explain it is utilizing the shoe, this metaphor. Equality is basically, I love the color brown, and my shoe size is 10.5. Okay, equality is Warren, you get a shoe, Tom get a shoe, Sue get a shoe, Mark get a shoe. It's like Oprah, everybody gets shoes. Okay, that's equality. But equity is giving everyone on this call a shoe that fits them. Now you got to think about that. I have to think about that. I cannot make the assumptions, because everyone's shoe based on your size, your comfort, your color, it varies. And I guarantee you, if you are wearing your shoe size and the shoe size that you desire, I guarantee you're going to feel so much better. And here's the case here, that we actually have people showing up in the space today, even showing up in Rotary today with shoes that are given to them, and they expect to wear them and they do not feel comfortable. Some have been wearing them so long that they forgot how uncomfortable it feels. And so why does this matter to us? Why are we having this conversation today during a club meeting? Because it's a moral case. It's, of course, diversity and inclusion is the right thing to do for our members in our community. It's a social case. The world is changing. I mean, think about how much have the last year, the last 60 days, the world is continuing to change. Look at us today. We have been able to change and shift due to the pandemic. Prior to COVID, do you know how many Rotarians was so anti-technology? And so many Rotarians never wanted to get into this virtual space, but now we have Rotarians who have PhDs in Zoom. And so it's very, very interesting to see. And you know what got us there? Inclusion. Inclusion, it allowed for us to leverage each other's ideas, and we had to be vulnerable. We had some discomfort. We had some Rotarians saying, know, I'm not showing up anymore. I'm not coming to this meeting. We also met our members where they're at. Some was not as technically savvy. And so we had people, let's help XYZ get on the call. Okay, so we have a big case of this, even for Rotary, why it matters, because it allowed for us to exist as an organization. It allows for us to do bigger and better things if we get this right for today and tomorrow, because today is multicultural, today is intersectional, and guess what? The future is multicultural and intersectional. And if Rotary wants to be the leader in this space, we need to be integrated with all those aspects of diversity. So we have a historic reference, and we understand that Rotary has been formed and stormed in the way that we were not accessible to all people. Right? Let's think about the year before I was born in 1987, when women could not get into Rotary. Well, guess what? Rotary didn't make that decision. You all know that. That was by Supreme Court. So one of the things we have to talk about here is that we gotta stop talking about, hey, we have this opportunity. I talk to a lot of clubs. Hey, I have an opportunity to do better. No, we have an obligation, because you know why? Our motto is service above self. There we go right there. I mean, I don't know what else to say here. Look at our mission. Look what brings us together. And if you are not a fan of that mission and that service model, hey, guess what? Maybe this may not be the organization for that individual. And I'm not here to discourage you, but I'm trying to encourage you that we don't have to discover the why, because the why is already into who we are and how we show up today. And so as we go forward and finish this conversation, please, because a lot of people ask me this question, Todd, where do we start? Where do we start? Guess what? Inclusion starts with the letter I. So before you start pointing fingers at everybody else in your club, in your community, how about lift up the mirror and ask the question, how do I show up in this space today? What is my story of inclusion? What about the time I felt excluded, and how did that make me feel? And what I'm going to do about it to be the change in my community? And then hold up a window and look out at your neighbor and look into your community and say, what is and what will we do to make it bigger, better, stronger, and inclusion?
Awesome. Thanks, Dr. Jenkins. Thanks for providing that context and helping us understand the why, that it's already built into our framework. It's already who we are, right? And I think one of the things that I've heard from club members, or people who are asking, well, why now? Why is this a focus now? Well, the fact of the matter is, when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion, these are experiences that people have been living and feeling for a long time, right? And the conversation is not new, even though it might seem new for some of us, right? Even though we might see Rotary International doing different webinars and being a little bit louder, but it became a key priority for Rotary a number of years ago. And so while we might be coming to this space newer, learning about what our role is in inclusion, it's a conversation that has been happening for a long time with many members. And there are members who have not felt as included within their Rotary clubs, right? And so now we get to we have the opportunity and obligation to look at, inside of our clubs, inside of ourselves, what are we doing to make people feel included in our club? And that takes me to the next slide. We all play a role in creating an inclusive ecosystems, right? So as Dr. Jenkins mentioned, there's the personal exploration. You hold up the mirror, right? And look at, where do I come to the table? What biases do I bring? And we're asking ourselves, some of those harder questions that are uncomfortable. But when it's uncomfortable, we get to do that work together. And when it's uncomfortable, I always think, you know what, that's when I need to explore more. I know when I feel uncomfortable in this realm, it means that I have to explore some of what I'm bringing to the table. And it leads to growth for ourselves, right? So I love what Aiko Bethea, who is she's a principal and founder of Rare Coaching, and she works with Brene Brown on her team. She says that DEI work is leadership work. And it really is, because we get to look inside ourselves and see, where can we do better? How can we make people feel more included? What are the biases that we're bringing to the table? What do our communities look like? Who is in our communities? Who do we feel comfortable around? What spaces do we go to, and who is in those spaces? Where do we feel comfortable, right? Or maybe where do we not feel heard or seen within our Rotary Club, within our communities? What identities are focused on in a positive light? What identities are focused on in a negative light? So really, we get to start with this personal exploration, and it can be uncomfortable, but when have we ever experienced growth that didn't have growing pains, right? And through that personal exploration, I really think that collective and community growth can come. So we can use collective accountability to be discussing what we're learning, how we're leaning into creating inclusive spaces, right? Sharing what we're learning, calling people in to explore, having discussion with each other. I've loved to see these discussions within Rotary clubs, within Rotaract clubs, saying, hey, this is something that I learned that I didn't know about before, and I want to share it with other club members. You know, let's talk about it, and let's have accountability within our clubs. We get to expand our perspectives in this realm, and it is our responsibility and commitment as Rotarians. I love what Rotary says on their website, this quote, making diversity, equity, and inclusion a priority is everyone's responsibility, from Rotary members to staff at the Secretariat. So,
sorry, make sure you
go ahead.
to the next slide. There we go.
Okay, gotcha.
There we go.
Thank you for calling that out. Yeah, just pipe in when I'm not on the right slide. So I love what Rotary has to say about this. I really believe it is our responsibility. And I think we can look at it as an opportunity for personal and self-growth as well. And it's the right thing to do. So as we call to action, Dr. Jenkins always says, before we call to action, we have to call to question, right? Inclusion is an action. It takes effort and practice, right? So when we're looking to act, and I know as Rotarians, we like to act, we like to say, okay, what are the next action steps, right? What can we do? Well, let's look to question first. And I want to share the next slide. And I know it's a lot, and I'm happy to share my presentation after this, but there are some areas where we can look to further explore within ourselves and within our clubs. And I want to highlight a few of them. So first, we talked about the self-discovery, right? How can we all commit to learning what we don't know and broadening our understanding? Looking at our clubs, what is our club culture like, right? What's going well? Where is there room for growth? And how do our members define our culture? How does the greater community define our culture? What would they say about our club? How do they know us, right? We can look at our club policies, programs, and procedures. Are there areas within our policies where we're leaving people out? Maybe intentionally, non-intentionally, we don't know, but are there areas that we can improve our policies to include more people? How can we create equity within our club policies? Looking at our demographics, who is represented within our club and who is not? Do we have representative of different age groups? Do we have different representatives of all the invisible and visible identities that we hold, right? And does our club reflect the community? That's what Rotary International calls us to do, is to look at our clubs and within the institution as a whole and ask if we are representing and reflecting the communities that we're serving and is in our broader Rotary community as a whole. And then looking at things like marketing, right? How do we market ourselves to the community? How do we showcase on social media? You know, one of the things that our club started doing is using alt text when we post anything on social media, which is an accessible way to help people who have disabilities be able to read our social media posts, right? And then looking at membership. How are we bringing people in? What is the most common way that a new member joins? Is it from, you know, knowing someone? And if so, you know, who are in our members communities? Who surrounds our communities, right? Who do we spend time with? And have we created a culture of inclusion to retain new members as well? you know, and looking at leadership as well. When we look at our club's leadership, we can look at, you know, who's represented in our leadership. Are those leadership opportunities accessible to all of our members? Looking at club structure, this is one of my favorite ones. Is our club financially inclusive, right? When we think about equity, are we meeting club members where they're at? Are we providing different options here, right? And is there equal weight given to multiple modes of participation, right? So are we focusing too much on financial contributions, and where we could be focusing more on you know, club service participation, the hours that people commit to club service, right? There are many areas that we can look at to kind of equally or more equitably distribute some of the areas that we focus on within our club structure. And as our meeting times, are they inclusive of working professionals, right? And then looking at cultural holidays and traditions. Is our club inclusive of cultural holidays? What are the holidays that we might celebrate? Can we learn more from, you know, our community and the different traditions that are celebrated in our communities? And so I really want to focus on this framework of diversity, equity, and inclusion, because I think it paves the way for it to become an ethos within the culture. And so I know a lot of times we see, you know, a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee or, you know, a statement come out, and those are really important to get the ball rolling, right? But the main aspect is that we implement this framework within everything that we do as a club. So it becomes a go-to for us to think of these things, to think about, wait, is this equitable, right? Is this service project that we're doing, is it accessible for people who are disabled, right? We get to think about these things, and it's an opportunity to expand our perspectives and really grow in the space. And so I wanted to move forward and look at our current DEI efforts within our district and beyond. So District 5100, we started a diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility task force. Just had our first meeting last week, and we're going to be identifying initiatives within the district and getting input from various clubs on what they want to see. On the club level, I know there are a number of social justice and DEI committees that have already been started. Renee shared with me that the Salem Club has had conversations and really started to explore this work as well, which is amazing. There are Saturday morning racial justice ad hoc calls that Al Jubitz puts on every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. If you're interested, let me know and I can share that information. They are wonderful calls and really explore racial justice initiatives within our communities and have some really great speakers. As far as upcoming events, so the district is hosting both a spring training and a district conference, which will have various breakout sessions in the realm of diversity, equity, and inclusion. We have a great speaker, Jordan Harrison, who also works on the Bowtie leadership team. He's going to be speaking at our district conference. He is great. And so just want to throw those out there and encourage folks to attend. And then there's also the Rotary International DEI Task Force that was just started. And Dr. Jenkins, I wanted to see if you might give us a bit of perspective and share about the task force.
Yeah, so first of all, great job, Sydney. So many great resources that this district is doing. And so for you all who may not have known about the Rotary International Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Task Force, it's around 6 or 8 individuals who I'm one of those individuals who represents the global task force. And as I said earlier, what we're tasked to do is really try to understand current climate and state. You all know, as a global organization, diversity and how, like I was saying earlier, how we show up to these perspectives and concepts look very different in every, depending on the country or the region of the world that you're in. And so we have to really spend some time really engaging and meeting them where they're at from an equitable lens. So that's kind of where we at right now. We're doing a lot of assessment and working with another firm to continue to assess and move some items forward. So it's to be determined when we will put out the first official report. But I will tell you that it was recently decided around the continuation of the task force beyond just president. And so I think that's really great because it showed forth the commitment at the board level that's beyond a tenure of one president, et cetera. And so that's where we're at right now. More to come. Valerie is the chair. And she constantly put out some updates, some other great resources from Rotary International. So if you go to my Rotary and you put in your information, we have an entire DEI like learning tool. A lot of the webinars, we facilitate a webinar maybe once every other month. And it's a global webinar talking about various perspectives around diverse and equity and inclusive subjects. I encourage you to check us out. And then also, last but not least, it's always opportunity for you all to get more involved, right? You can get involved in your club level, you can get involved in your district level, you can get involved in Rotary International level. And so I encourage you to get involved. But sometimes people forget. You want to get so involved, you forget to get involved with yourself and understand, who you are and reflect and learn and understand that that's a part of your engagement. So it's okay that if you're not on every task force, every committee, but what are you personally committing to doing to be a part of this work? And so here's some great resources.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Jenkins, for sharing with us. And I put in some resources in the chat that he spoke about. And so with that, I want to turn it over for questions and comments that you have. I'm happy to share contact information in the chat as well. And I know it's a lot of material to get through in 20 minutes, and we can always go further and deeper. So I'm happy to continue conversation beyond this meeting for anyone who would like to reach out. So with that, I'll turn it over. Are there any questions or comments?
Unmute myself. Thank you both so very much. We'll give folks a minute to populate the chat or.
Can I ask a question, President?
Yes, please, Ryan.
Hi, Ryan Collier. Can I call you Dr. Bowtie? Is that okay? All right. That's I love that. I thought, bow tie it together was actually was such a great way to do the kind of work that you guys are talking about. Are you also available to help businesses do DEI training outside of the Rotary environment? Is that something else that you do? You obviously have expertise in what you do, and you're an absolute joy to listen to. Are you a resource for any businesses represented here that might want this kind of training for their staff?
Oh, yes, of course. So Rotary is my heart space, and I'm a proud Rotarian. But as Sydney said earlier, our team and our firm, we do this locally and globally. So we help businesses of all shapes and sizes. We train, we speak, we coach, we develop strategy. And so, yes, we have several things that we do with Bowtie Leadership and Development. And so, yes, reach out to us and let's have a conversation. But our team, we support everyone locally and globally.
Great, thank you. Other questions from folks? I really appreciated when you started off this conversation that is so critical and so important for all of us, that you talked about the visible and invisible self to make the whole self, and for us to really, as individuals and humans, really start to reflect who we are, all our parts that make us who we are, as well as to really being willing to be uncomfortable and ask more questions, and having that willingness and open heart to take this journey with our friends, with our coworkers, with our family, with our community, so that we all have a better understanding of ourselves and how to work best with each other. So I really appreciate it. It's so we've got contact information. Any last questions or comments from folks? This was a really important presentation and conversation for us to continue to work through. And I know there's a lot of interest with our fellow Rotarians to dig into this and see what this looks like moving forward for our club.
It looks like Renee may have a question.
Oh, is that right? Okay,
Comment?
go for it, Renee.
Well, I just wondered, Sydney posted the link to our Rotary Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion statement. Would you be able to pull that up and show that for us to see?
Sure. Yeah, let me just go back a couple slides here, and I have it up on a slide. Or did you mean on the website?
Oh, I just wanted to, oh, is this it here?
Yeah, this is it.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's not what I was thinking of. I was thinking of the one that says Rotary has no tolerance for.
Oh yeah, so what that was pushed out as the anti, like basically the anti-ism with harassment, anti-racist statement that was just presented. Yes, did you have a question or did you want?
No, I just was wondering if that could be shared with the club, but.
Got it. And I would love, we can follow up and send that link, or you all, President Sue, I encourage you all to send Rotary response. And you can share that with the club members, but great call out, Renee. I think that's very important. And I think as we close here, my friends, is that understand that we all have a role to play, and give yourself some space and grace in this role of playing, because we all start very differently. As long as we're working collectively, we can do good together. And so it does not matter if you're this age or this color or from this part of Oregon, etc. As long as you have the heart to do this service, we will all be bigger, better, stronger together. So thank you again for allowing Sydney and I to come have a conversation with you all. And we're always here to connect and continue to be a part of the journey together.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. This was excellent. So thank you both Sydney and Dr. Bowtie, Dr. Jenkins. It was really a pleasure and very inspiring and informative. So thank you so much, not just for today to coming to join us, but for the work that you're doing on behalf of Rotary and people all over the world. So in your honor, for your time with us today and your important work, we're making a donation to our very own Salem Rotary Foundation that supports children and families in our community. So thank you so much. Next week, as we wrap up, next week's meeting, past President Tom Golden will be chairing. It's my club board meeting day. And so be ready for knock knock jokes. I haven't confirmed that there'll be knock knock jokes, but odds are really good with past President Tom at the podium. And our program next week will be around youth exchange. Dan Bolt, who's the district youth exchange chair, will join us, as well as our own member, Stephen Goto. So looking forward to that conversation as well. As we wrap, again, thanks to Dr. Jenkins, to Sydney. This is everyone's responsibility to start to move forward, if you haven't already, to take action and to reflect. Tomas with South Salem, Student of the Month, thank you so much for joining us. We know that great things are ahead for you. And then Vincenzo, Ray, and Elena, thank you so much for joining us here today. So with that, get the crock pot out and start cooking your corned beef and cabbage, or your Instapot. I think that might be better. And have a wonderful rest of your day, and happy St. Patrick's Day. So take care, everybody. Wonderful day.